You want me to put that on my Tudor?
Letterman. Total roast of this one's wife. Or did he? Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Giving an individual a roast is very satisfying. For a narcissist to do so, it's invariably the exhibition of heated, ignited fury, as the narcissist stares strip after strip off the victim. It might be pithy takedowns of their character and personality. It might be the blunt force of a vitriolic tirade. But nevertheless, a good old roast can be given. Roasting, of course, is not the preserve of just narcissists. Anybody can dole out a roast, but it must be said, few can do it better than an educated and erudite narcissist. After all, you might want to saunter over to the HG Roast section and avail yourself as a series of most satisfying roasts of individuals who truly, truly deserve it. But leaving aside my excellent roasting, it has been brought to my attention by a number of you that there is a video in circulation that makes reference to a roasting that has been doled out by none other than the legend of the late night show, or the late show, David Letterman, where he has taken this one's wife to task, that he has not pulled any punches, that he has spoken his mind, that he has very much vented about her, and it is not favourable. The video in question is a low subscriber channel, but the video itself has had quite a number of views since it was aired yesterday, undoubtedly as a consequence of the salacious title involving the roasting of this one's wife. The video explains thus. Letterman apparently revealed that he had interviewed this one's wife for his Netflix show, but the episode was never aired because of legal issues and the backlash from the public. The commentator doesn't tell us what those legal issues are or were, and nor explains what the backlash was in relation to. The commentator in the video explains that Letterman found this one's wife charming, not something that's ordinarily said about her, intelligent, similarly, and articulate. Recent examples show that she's none of those things. But also that he found her to be dishonest, manipulative, and narcissistic. He said he had confronted her about some of the inconsistencies and contradictions in her claims, such as her relationship with her father, her wedding, her mental health, and her royal duties. He said that this one's wife had either dodged his questions, changed the subject, or lied outright. Now, as I was watching this video, it occurred to me that that's rather unusual, that this one's wife would allow herself to be subjected to such questioning. After all, I know that so many of you are absolutely itching for her inconsistencies, her lies, her revisions of history, to be put to her using evidence to see how she responds to it. Whether she continues to lie, whether she makes admissions, whether she crumbles. Nobody has ever been given the opportunity to put these things to her, because, of course, whenever she does an interview, it's all arranged with the relevant publicist beforehand that it's going to be a soft soaping interview that allows her to talk about the things that she wants to talk about so that she looks good, and asking her those easy peasy lemon squeezy questions. Therefore, I did raise an eyebrow when it was suggested that she had been subjected to such a level of questioning as is suggested in this video. The video goes on to explain that Letterman showed some clips from the unaired interview on the Stephen Colbert show. Again, I found that to be somewhat implausible, given the fact that it's Stephen Colbert's show, no longer David Letterman's. But apparently, he'd kept these clips as evidence. The clips showed this one's wife contradicting herself, making false accusations and playing the victim. For example, in one clip, this one's wife claimed she had never sought out publicity, and she'd only wanted to use a platform for good causes. But Letterman showed her a montage of clips from her previous interviews where she had admitted she had always dreamed of being famous, that she had hired a PR team to boost her profile, that she had staged paparazzi shots to get attention. In another clip, this one's wife claimed she had been bullied and harassed by the British media and royal family, and that she had suffered from suicidal thoughts. But Letterman showed a clip from a documentary where this one's wife had said she was not okay, and nobody had asked how she was doing. He then showed a clip from a podcast where Harris had said that he had asked this one's wife how she was every single day, and how he had tried to get professional help for her. Letterman apparently also showed a clip from a newspaper article where an insider had said that this one's wife had refused to cooperate with the palace staff. This video then went on to claim that Letterman said she had been rude and demanding, that Letterman also exposed this one's wife's hypocrisy on various issues such as her environmental activism, her feminism, and her racial identity. He showed clips of her flying in private jets, wearing expensive clothes and jewellery, and living in a lavish mansion, whilst preaching about climate change and social justice. He showed clips of this one's wife criticising the patriarchy, the monarchy, and the media, whilst benefiting from their privilege and power. He showed clips of this one's wife identifying as a woman of colour, while denying her white heritage and alienating her black relatives. The video claims that the audience at The Late Show reacted with shock, laughter, and applause. It explains that Letterman skewered this one's wife with his sharp wit and sarcasm, that Colbert also joined in the fun, making jokes and comments about this one's wife's lies and hypocrisy. He thanked Letterman for his courage and honesty, and hoped the episode would be released on Netflix soon. He also said that this one's wife would not sue them or even send them a letter. Apparently, according to this video, this episode of The Late Show involving David Letterman and Stephen Colbert quickly went viral on social media, with many people praising Letterman for exposing this one's wife's lies and hypocrisy and calling him a hero and a legend. Many other people criticised this one's wife for her dishonesty and manipulation and called her a fraud and a villain. That is the verbatim explanation that's contained in this video that has been doing the rounds and several of you sent to me for analysis. Interestingly, the video does not contain any footage of all, of Letterman saying these things. Now, that might possibly be the case that it's excluded for copyright reasons. Well, I thought that given the fact that The Late Show regularly makes its episodes available on YouTube, that I would actually go and avail myself of the actual footage of Letterman saying these things, so that I could then review it for you, possibly including the footage also, and explain to you how this would impact upon this one's wife. When I did a good search of the internet and YouTube, I did find a number of clips involving Letterman and Stephen Colbert. There were 4 of them, running to 17 minutes approximately in length. I watched those clips, and they covered Letterman recalling his favourite memories, including performances from Green Day, how he missed being on The Late Show, that he wanted to wish his wife happy birthday, that he recalled his first meeting with Stephen Colbert and showed him how to use a freight elevator. They took a selfie together, mimicking one that they'd done many years ago. There was talk about being an empty nester as a consequence of the children going off to college and missing them. But there was no clip mentioning this one's wife whatsoever. I then thought to myself, okay, maybe that clip has not been uploaded to YouTube. That would be rather strange, because it would be particularly newsworthy if David Letterman has been roasting this one's wife to the extent claimed. And given that this was a recent interview, there's bound to be some coverage of this in the media. And indeed there was. The Mail, per Brian Marks, led with the headline, "David Letterman makes a grand return to The Late Show as he reminisces about his glory days with Stephen Colbert. I miss everything." David Letterman was treated like a king on Monday when he returned to The Late Show, but this time the iconic comedian and late-night talk show host was taking a seat as a guest to current host Stephen Colbert. Letterman, 76, stepped onto the stage at the Ed Sullivan Theatre in New York City to a flurry of applause from the audience. During the chat, the veteran host marvelled at just how much the studio had changed since he was sitting behind the desk. Letterman also put to bed rumours that there was tension between himself and Colbert when he congratulated him and his team right off the bat. Letterman joked how the studio had turned into a mall while he was gone, and he compared it to Beverly Hills' swanky Rodeo Drive. He also joked that it was now the fanciest hotel he'd ever stayed in. He explained that he missed everything, and he explained that he also cited his Daily Show colleague Jon Stewart as someone that he could lean on. He talked about Johnny Carson, and he capped off his good relationship by Colbert by recreating a photo that they had taken nearly a decade earlier. Earlier in the interview, Colbert shared with the audience that his predecessor confessed he'd always wanted to try sitting where the desk currently was located, as he had placed it on the other side of the studio during his tenure. There's no mention of him roasting this one's wife at all in the Daily Mail's report, and given the fact that the Daily Mail runs at least one article a day about this one's wife, you would have thought that if she had been roasted by David Letterman, they would have reported it. After all, they reported on when she was called a fucking grifter by the executive Simmons at Spotify. They regularly report on criticism that has come her way, for instance, from South Park, from Family Guy, from Chris Rock, and others. And yet, there has been no mention of it at all. So perhaps the Mail has decided to give it a rest. Thus, I looked at Yahoo, and they report on it. Watch David Letterman return to The Late Show as Stephen Colbert's guest for the first time since retiring. The article mentions many of the things that have been mentioned by the Mail and includes the clips from the return, the ones that are placed on YouTube by The Late Show. There is no mention of this one's wife. Entertainment news. Letterman appears on Late Show for the first time since 2015. It reports in a similar vein to that of Yahoo and Daily Mail, and once again, this one's wife is not mentioned. Indeed, putting all of the information into the search engine to find, is there any mention between this one's wife, David Letterman, and Stephen Colbert, it simply throws up the aforementioned video that I've quoted from, and nothing else. Accordingly, there's no reportage in the press about this apparent roasting. Furthermore, the roasting wouldn't fit within the actual tone of the interview. It was about reminiscence, nostalgia, talking about missing the children, missing the work. To go on the attack as against this one's wife, whilst perhaps entirely legitimate, wouldn't actually fit with the tone of the interview. The fact is, and I'm perfectly ready to stand corrected if someone were to unearth the footage of this, it appears to me that David Letterman didn't actually say any of these things. And whilst many of the comments that have been made in the video that has been doing the rounds may be accurate about her hypocrisy, it almost smacks as if the creator of that video wanted all of these things to be said by David Letterman to this one's wife, but it never actually happened. I regularly explain to you for you to make your own mind up about the veracity of the material that I quote from. I simply provide you with an analysis. However, it behooves me to look a little further into this particular example, given the number of you that sent it to me and apparently accepted its value at face value, and also to make this point. This kind of behaviour, where an individual has clearly made up a video claiming something that has happened which has not, well, on the face of it is defamatory, and that's an issue for the creator of the video. But the other point is this. It plays right into the hands of this one's wife. This one's wife has an overwhelming victim narrative. Her paranoia drives her to maintain that there are unwarranted attacks against her and smear campaigns. For the most part, these are an act of fiction. It is simple, justified criticism and commentary on her own behaviours. That many of the newspaper articles are accurate, talking about the things that she has said and the things that she has done. The videos that analyse her behaviour are demonstrative of how she conducts herself. Yes, we know that there are some videos out there that are somewhat far-fetched with regard to what they believe that she has done. But for the most part, they're accurate, based upon her own behaviour. And as for mine, of course, it's all done through explaining it with reference to the lens of her narcissism. By creating a video, such as the one that this creator has done, which on the face of it, and through further analysis doesn't appear to be accurate at all and is completely made up, is exactly the type of thing which plays into the hands of this one's wife. She can point to it and say, see, these are the lies that are told about me. And where they are demonstrably lies, that will curry favour for her. Not only will it embolden her supporters, the Shuggers, to say, see, people make things up about her. They lie about her. She is the victim. Stop being haters. It also means that some individuals who are wavering may well have some sympathy for her. Thus, whilst it might be done to garner views, and it may well be that many people, as is the case in this day and age, that they take it at face value rather than thinking about what they're being told, and therefore it appeals to them, the fact is, this is dangerous. It actually supports this one's wife because it creates material that is not true and therefore enables her to play the victim all the more and allows her supporters to point to material such as this. And believe me, as a narcissist, she will utilize this as an example of the hatred that she experiences where it's based upon a fabrication. And whilst it might garner views for the relevant video creator, what it actually does is further the cause of this one's wife. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening.